Honestly, I just think I opened my mouth and notes came out. It
I
literally
wanted
was
to
like
open
that.
myself up.
I mean,
And
I have a friend in New Zealand. Well, I lie. I call him my friend. He has no idea that I exist. It's called Israel Adesanya.
oh yeah,
And
triggered. Getting back into the music, getting back into performing, sort of triggered the, oh, I want more than this. I want more than to graduate from law school and get snatched up in a law firm and then spend the next 10 years of my life, being someone's bitch. Sorry.
You're allowed to swear. It's
oh
all
God,
right.
it's bad.
Oh no, it's fine. It's fine. I forgot to tell you. Yeah, feel free. You're allowed to express yourself. We don't do any of this. Beep beep. No. Let it all out. Let it all out. Ladies and gentlemen, I bring you another episode as I'm taking you on a journey of an amazing singer and songwriter that will be performing at the Korak Live Music Event 11, June 25th. I am bringing you a woman that used to fight crime as she studied law in Paris and is all the way from the South Island of New Zealand. A singer-songwriter with wonderful jazz vocals, pop, and every other thing you can think about. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the one, the only Suze Harper. Yeah.
What an introduction.
It's what I do. It's what first of all, thank you for coming. Cheers. Thank you for coming. Talking about you, girl. Talking about you. There you go. Cheers. Thanks for coming. How are you? You good?
I'm great.
Well, first,
that whiskey's beautiful.
This is what we do here, Korak. It's what we do here at Korak. Of course, a big shout out to our Carole Coffee. We're ambassadors. You can get 20% off Carole Coffee if you use our code More Things. Big shout out to Podcast Rooms. We have a new gentleman, Jamie, taking care of us. He'll join us on a whiskey at some point one day. So, Suze Harper, this Korak means footsteps, and each footstep is the journey that you have gone on to where you are now.
Yeah.
And from the beginning. In terms of your music, what would be that first step that you remember taking you that has led you to where you are now?
Honestly, I just think I opened my mouth and notes came out. It literally was like that. I think when I was really young, I just had been listening to I think I'd listened to a lot of classical music. My mum had amazing CD collections and she just used to play music loud in the house all the time. And then I think when I was really, really young, like maybe 4, I just sort of thought, oh, that's cool. And then I just opened my mouth and just tried to sing like that. And it worked. And I could sing really, really, really high. And so it was like, okay, well, she can sing. And so I just started singing a lot, like along with CDs. And I was singing a lot alongside like Maria Callas. And I didn't know any of the words that she was singing in Italian, but I just made the sounds out of my mouth. And then I was growing up in the country, like really
you grew up
quite rural.
You grew up in a farm.
Yeah.
So we're talking about like livestock kind of farm,
exactly.
like animals and all that.
Yeah. Sheep and beef. And like the nearest town was 20 minutes drive away. Wow. So it took like an hour on the bus in the morning to drive around the local district to get to the primary school, which had about 60 children in it, really small. And
this is like one of them. I mean, I know it's all the way in New Zealand. It sounds like one of them Yellowstone kind of.
It kind of is.
One of those things. Wake up to the cows mooing and the chickens crowing.
It sort of was. I mean, like no cowboy hats. We're not really about that in New Zealand.
Okay.
But
what are you about? What do you guys with?
I don't know. I mean, we all grew up having pet lambs and things like that, and we were kind of taught, before you eat breakfast in the morning, you go out and you feed your animal. That was kind of like how you built a responsibility for something.
Oh, nice.
When like ewes or mother sheep couldn't like feed their lambs, we would have to take them in. And so we were children and we would each have pet lambs that we would have to take responsibility for.
So I'm guessing you're not the only child then?
No, I'm the third out of 4. So I've got 2 brothers and a sister.
Do any of them sing or just you?
No, they don't. It's just me.
You were born. I mean, we need to go and find out what happened on the day you were born, like a full moon or something. Or I don't know. One of the animals started singing too. So as far back as you remember, because doing my very little research on you, I mean, you've been singing as far back as you can remember.
Exactly.
And do any of your parents, are any of them musicians?
My mum could sing a bit. Like my mum was a singer in choirs and things when she was a teenager, and she loves music, and so does my dad. They both love music, and I think, one of the biggest blessings you can have in life as a musician is being exposed to amazing music. And I was just lucky enough to be exposed to amazing music. And I think that that's actually what shapes a musician or an artist so much more than you realize is what you've been brought up on. It's like what you've been fed is the music you've been raised on. And I was just raised on this most incredible music, just such eclectic taste.
I like it. So when you think, as far back as you remember, this came naturally to you. So were you one of them children that were just running around singing all over the place? And then how did they actually go from doing that to transition into, you know what, she has something here and we need to actually hone this?
It didn't come from them. It came from me. And I think that is, how it goes for
What do you mean
people.
came from you? How?
So, for example, there was a piano teacher at this tiny little primary school, and I saw every now and then a kid get to take an hour out of class to go to their piano lesson. And I begged my parents for piano lessons, and we didn't have a piano, but I begged them. I was just like, please let me play the piano. And then they were like, okay. And then so for a while, I didn't have a piano, so I just used to practice on the table. And then my dad really wanted my brother and sister to get into guitar because he always liked guitar. And so he got them a sort of a little shitty acoustic guitar. And they started doing guitar lessons, but they didn't really take to it. And so they would bring back their guitar books, and the guitar was just sitting there untouched. So then maybe about age 10, I just picked up the guitar and just started teaching myself from their books. So it had nothing really to do with my parents, except for the fact that they encouraged me, like they, enabled it. But it's not like, okay, you're talented or whatever, we're going to get you into music. It was, please let me play music.
It's like one of them Marvel superhero powers where you just, you discovered you had some musical talent. When I was little, I was hoping I was Spider-Man and all that stuff. Clearly didn't work out for me. So you went from getting yourself, so you pretty much yourself taught on the guitar then?
Yeah, completely.
So did this by any chance, or did it make your parents now think, you know what, wow, she actually has something here? So what happened after they could see that you actually taught yourself how to play the guitar?
I think they were always, kind of impressed and they encouraged it. But at the same time, where I was from, no one was really doing anything slightly out of the box like that. It was a very straight-laced place.
Straight-laced, wake up, look after the farm, go to school,
and,
come back.
They were incredibly hard workers. Like, they are incredibly hard workers. My dad's a farmer, my mum's a nurse. And, it's in that area, it's very much, pull yourself up by your bootstraps, go into work, earn your day's keep, get out, look after your family. It's that kind of mentality. And, on the one hand, I have a lot of respect for the people that were around me when I grew up, but I knew that it wasn't what I wanted.
At what age did you know this?
Always. I knew I wanted.
So you were born a rebel?
A little bit, I think so. I think I might have been described as slightly, perhaps a little bit difficult as a child. To throw a wee adjective in there. But when I was at high school, I was always singing and I was always playing music out of like free will. But I'd got it into my head that I was destined to be a lawyer because, as pretty much everyone who decided they wanted to go into law probably at one point said, oh, I was really good at arguing. So
I was just about to ask. Obviously, being a rebel, you tend to go into different things. You're like an activist, or you fight. Yeah, it is. I think it's a belief of fighting for something that you feel is bigger than yourself. So you probably, as you said, you were a bit ready for a debate. Let's put it nicely.
That's
ready for a bit. So you, music talent, decided you wanted to do law. Did you ever feel growing up in New Zealand that this is not where I want to be, or this is not where I can actually enhance what I want to do. Did
And
you ever get to that point?
yes, I did. So I went to law school, and I sort of left the music. I didn't think about it as a professional goal. I didn't think about it as a career at all. It was always something that I was going to do in life. Like, it was never going to separate itself from me, but I didn't consider it to be something that I would live a life doing
So,
as a career. And
mm,
so I went to law school, and I did 2 degrees. I did a law degree and a political science degree.
that
And
is proper rebel stuff right there.
yeah, but I was working a lot as well. I was working in Parliament in New Zealand, and I worked for this human rights barrister. So I was all over the place. I'm definitely one of those people who
Hold on one second. So you this is. I mean, I'm seeing this as a Netflix series already, man.
Oh my
I
God.
can just see it, man. You one moment you're looking after animals, next moment you're singing, teaching yourself how to play the guitar, and then you study law and then political science, and you're working for somebody. So before we get, so let's pause that for now. Generally, other than music and you being a rebel, how would you describe yourself back then? What are the things that you like to do in terms of just you as a person, other than singing and doing other things? Who was Suze Harper at the time in terms of just as a girl back
Yeah.
then?
I was pretty ambitious. I mean, I suppose I still am, but I was on a real mission, and I wasn't really sure where I was going, but there was always a lot of intensity with what I did. I wanted to be amazing at something. I wasn't sure what it was, but I felt like compelled to be really, really good or really impactful in something in a particular field. And at the time, when I looked around and I met this barrister, and he was a human rights barrister, and he was an example of an entirely selfless lawyer, and I just thought he was awesome. He really just got stuck in. He got his hands dirty, and I thought, well, that's awesome. I respect that. And so I sort of nosed up to him.
What kind of law did you study?
Well, you do a general degree, but then I kind of specialized in sort of the human rights and even like law of armed conflict kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I was interested in the law of people, essentially. But yeah, and then in my 4th year, so it was 5 years that I was in uni. In my 4th year, I just sort of thought, well, I feel like I've done everything I can here. And that's, I suppose that's like, of course, that's contestable. There's always more you can do. But I just mean I felt like I wasn't growing anymore in New Zealand.
Was there anything that particularly happened that made you believe that I'm done here? This is it.
Well, I mean, COVID happened, and in New Zealand, it
Shut down.
it really shut down, and it took a long time. I still don't even think it's kind of returned to its full openness. And as the country shut down, I do feel as though the people in it kind of shut down.
Yeah.
And I wanted to open myself up.
I mean, I have a friend in New Zealand. Well, I lie. I call him my friend. He has no idea that I exist. He's called Israel Adesanya.
Oh yeah.
And he's
Yeah.
I mean, if he ever sees this, man, I mean, you can come on Korak. And but one of the things that was happening, obviously, during with all the UFC fights, and one of the things that he used to talk about was why is New Zealand why is it shut compared to the rest of the world? I know things are happening, the virus is out there. But every time he came for a fight and went back, and of course you have to quarantine for like in the hotels for X amount of time. Do you think, apart from the shutdown and generally, because I don't know, I'm assuming New Zealand is big, right? It's not a small place.
It's bigger than the UK in terms of its
mass.
It's only got 5 million people, but in terms of its like landscape, it's bigger than the UK.
So is there the reason I'm asking that is that you were studying and musically, were you still doing music in between?
I was writing songs, and especially sort of towards my 3rd and 4th year, when I was, beginning to have those thoughts of, which I wasn't even ready to entertain at the time, I was beginning in the back of my mind to have those thoughts of, oh, what if I'm actually a creative person?
Yeah.
What if I'm not meant to be pushed in this way? I started writing songs again. And I guess it was just something, as I said, it was something that was always just going to happen with me. Like music and myself were never going to be separated. So no matter what I would do in life, I was always going to be doing it in a way. It just happens. It's just a sort of like a personality trait, I suppose. You know, you are always thinking about turning your little life experiences into something musical. And so that was going on in the background. And then, you know, in my third year, I sort of thought, well, I love singing. I love performing. I want to sort of start getting a band together. So I sort of put a band together and we just sort of jammed around, you know, once a week. And I just was just like, oh, this is just the one thing of the week that gives me energy and joy. And I love singing with these people. And, you know, I started playing a couple of gigs in Wellington where I was studying. And I think that kind of triggered getting back into the music, or getting back into performing, sort of triggered the, oh, I want more than this. I want more than to graduate from law school and get snatched up in a law firm and then spend the next 10 years of my life, you know, being someone's bitch. Sorry.
You're allowed to swear. It's
God,
all right.
it's bad.
Oh no, it's fine. It's fine. I forgot to tell you. Yeah, feel free. You're allowed to express yourself. We don't do any of this. Beep beep. No. Let it all out.
Oof, okay.
So you studied law in Paris, right?
Well, so what happened is I got to that point. I was at that point and I was just like, right, I need to get out. And so I decided to do my last year on exchange in Paris. And, you know, it was just sort of really random. I just sort of said to my parents, I've applied for this program.
I was about
I've
to
been
ask,
accepted. I'm going to France.
what was the pushback? Did they think?
I mean, my mum, she's a warrior, but she knows me. Like, she knew that I was always going to go and just do those sort of random things, and that she knew that that's what I was cut out for. Like, just to go, just go, close your eyes and go. And she was worried because I'd never been further than Australia in my life. You know, New Zealand's a really long way away, and you know, as a young New Zealander, you're very lucky to have gone further than Australia, if out of New Zealand.
I mean, you could go to Fiji. It's not,
Yeah, you can, and people do. Those are the nearest places, but it's a big deal when you finally travel across the world. And you know, I'd booked a one-way ticket.
I always find it very interesting when people do that, especially when you come from far and beyond, if you want to put it that way, based on. So why Paris though?
I wanted to go somewhere that was going to challenge me.
Oh, you like one of them. You're one of them challenge me kind of situations. Do you get bored easily,
Yeah,
Suze Harper?
God, it's terrible. Oh, God.
Or everything in life?
Oh.
Relationships?
Oh.
Oh, my God. You're a heartbreaker.
Oh, God, I'm not. Oh, God, I am.
I can see it. I can see it.
Yeah.
So
so at some point along the way, we realized I was very ADHD.
Okay. All right. That also is okay.
Yeah. So that's it. I just I need to be put out of my comfort zone in order to feel something.
Yeah. Did you so does that mean, do you speak French now?
No.
Okay.
I can speak a little bit, as in because I had to learn a little bit and I picked up a little bit. Yeah. But I wanted to go somewhere where, okay, look, it's somewhere I don't speak the language. Paris is notorious for being like a little bit closed off, as in, you know, it's not easy to kind of make your way there, especially if you're not fluent in French, and especially even if you're just not Parisian. And I thought, okay, well, I'm going to go and I'm going to, you know, I'm going to manage there, because I don't think that humans are all that different from each other. And lo and behold, I was just picked up there so quickly because of the music. And that's the beautiful thing about the French, I think. it's there. Of course, there's an elitist society everywhere, but the elitism in Paris is: are you artistic? Are you creative?
Yeah.
Do you have a talent? Do you have a?
It's a very creator heaven.
It is.
kind of
It's
place.
very like it's such a meritocracy in that sense. It's not like the UK where you would probably never even come into contact with people on the upper elite circles.
It depends where you go, though.
It depends where you go, of course. But essentially, it doesn't really matter where you came from. If you had an ability that was interesting, you were welcomed. And so one night I was there, maybe I'd been there for like 2 weeks, and I was out in Saint-Germain and I'd had a couple of wines.
Just a couple?
Yeah, just a couple. And I was with my cousin, actually. She was visiting, and we were talking to these people, and she said, oh, Susanna's a singer. My full name's Susanna. And she said, oh, Susanna's a singer. And they were like, oh, go on, sing. And so I did. And so I was just singing in the street. And then this guy comes up behind me and he goes, oh, you're a singer? And I said, yeah, I suppose I am. And he goes, I'm a composer. Do you want to come to a party? And I was just like, yeah, okay.
See, these moments never happen to me. I don't know whether I don't know whether it's because I can't sing. But I like it when things just randomly happen.
All the best moments in my life have happened because I've opened my mouth and sung. Oh. The same thing happened when I was in Monte Carlo, and I wrote an article about this that got published back in New Zealand about tall poppy syndrome, where we were in Monte Carlo with a bunch of mates and people we just like picked up traveling, and we were on the wharf, like the jetty, amongst all of these super yachts, and we couldn't afford to like go into any bars or the casino or anything. And I said, you guys, I'm going to get us onto a super yacht tonight. Don't know how. And then I heard this Italian music coming from this big boat. And then I said, oh, can you play O mio bambino caro? And so they played it, and then I just got up and I just started singing opera and started walking down the wharf, and they were like, oh my God. They got their phones out and they brought us all on board, and then I just had to sing for them all night. And it was just moments like that were just like...
So that's what I need to get on.
You just need to start singing, man.
No, I'm going to take you. I'm going to take you on a few orders. I'll be like, let it rip, Susanna, let it rip.
But you end up in these crazy situations just from showing your talent.
Yeah.
And in New Zealand, I felt really shy about doing that. And I'm not actually a shy person.
So what do you put it on then? Because you don't seem shy. And
no.
Moving, was that part of the challenge that France gave you?
Yeah, it was.
Did it bring you out of your shell?
It did. It's almost like if you're in a social gathering in Paris, and it's known that you have a talent like that, especially a musical one, it's almost like rude if you don't share it.
Mm-hmm.
So I would all of a sudden get sort of included in these parties because, oh, she's the Kiwi girl, she's the singer.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you get invited to all of these places. You don't know anybody, but you're welcome because you're going to entertain them. You're going to bring them something. You're going to enlighten them. You're a little bit strange. You're from this weird country that you speak a bit funny. You're not English, so that works to your advantage. But essentially, it taught me that actually better things come from opening my mouth
mm-hmm.
and singing than it does from keeping quiet and just sort of sitting on this talent, which is in all honesty how I did feel in New Zealand. It didn't feel like a place that was going to welcome just unsolicited sharing of music and talent. And it's sort of an environment where you're encouraged to be quite humble, and that's nice. Like, I think it's a beautiful culture in that way. People are pretty down to earth, and no one's better than anybody else, but it doesn't necessarily foster
talent
and creativity.
How long were you in Paris for?
About 10 months.
So you finished law school.
Yeah, I finished law school.
And then the question was, do you go back to New Zealand or what happens after? And because you did buy a one-way ticket.
I did. I bought a one-way ticket and I was dead broke. It got to the point where I said to my flatmate, I think we were at the point where there was beans and there was oats in the pantry.
Okay.
And then
I
was like, what's for dinner? And she was like, beans and oats patties. And I was just like, right, get my guitar. We're going to have to go out to the street and commit musical prostitution.
AKA busking.
Yeah.
AKA busking.
Yeah. And so anyway, we got a chair, we got a tin, we bought a €2 bottle of wine and we sat out on the street, and I'd never been so nervous to perform. And I just started playing. And I had the most amazing experiences busking. And essentially by the end of it, that's what I was doing to make way. Bought a bus and a boat ticket to go from Paris to London because I can't go home. So I was just like, right, I don't have any money, but I'm going to keep going. Bought a boat ticket, came across on the ferry and ended up in London. And fortunately, I have, a few family members here, like cousins and second cousins. And,
they're all coming for the show, right? Wink, wink.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Yeah,
yes, 100%. So why when it's amazing how talent could take you from pretty much from beans and oats and getting you transport all the way to London. And so when you're going through these situations, what's the vision? What do you look forward to and say, you know what, this is going to be temporary. I'm going to make something of this. Was music still I'm going to make it in music, or I'm going to try music? What was keeping you going?
I didn't have any clarity, and in all honesty, I still don't have complete clarity about what is keeping me going, but it is a sense of there is something important that you must keep going for, and music became a way to make that happen. It's like it was that amazing realization. It was like, oh, I have the ability to make money to get me from A to B just by opening my mouth and singing to people.
Mm-hmm.
And playing to them on the street. And, it's really important for your ego to put yourselves in positions where you're on the street, people are walking past you and pretending that you don't exist.
Yeah. It's one of the reasons we started Korak is because apart from, as I said to you when we met, it's characterization, the story behind it. And I don't think I could busk.
Right.
Even if I could sing, I don't think I would.
It's super tough. It's the most difficult stage of them all.
I don't envy. So you're standing in the middle of nowhere, pretty much. You're having people walk past you. As you said, you would get those second looks when people go, wow, she sounds amazing. Yeah. But then what you need to remember is people are rushing home or going to different places.
Oh, you experience rejection.
And then somebody trying to take your coins away from you sometimes. And it is, I don't know how you guys did, man. I hats off, as they say.
You get, it's the slice of humble pie that every musician needs, I think, actually. Especially when you're doing it because you absolutely
need to.
Not because, wouldn't it be cool to go out to Trafalgar Square and busk and get content for TikTok and, whatever. It's like, okay, I have no money, but I have the ability to go out and sing for people, and I can make some money. It was a really important part of the piece of the pie, I think.
Yeah.
To have to do that. And, I could go into detail about, amazing experiences that happened just from doing that.
What's the best experience that you can remember?
Okay. So there was this one day I was playing, and I'd been playing for a couple of hours, and there was these two ladies sitting in the cafe sort of across the street, and they kept coming over and putting, more bits of money in the box and bringing me over water and, keep going. And
it was like a proper, you were entertaining them.
Yeah. And anyway, at the end, I'd been there for about 2.5 hours, and at the end, I had to go up to them and say, "Look, I can't play anymore. My fingers here," and they didn't speak a word of English. And I picked up that it was one of their birthdays, and so I sort of looked at her and I sung her happy birthday in English, and she just cried, and then she took this big ass ring, like with sort of aquamarine stones on it. It was really massive. She just took it off her finger and she just put it on mine. And I said, "Oh no, I can't take it." And she goes, "No, no, no, no." And she like was just dead set on me taking this piece of jewelry. And that was amazing because it was just such a simple thing. I went and sung her happy birthday, and it touched her that much that she wanted to give me this like beautiful piece of jewelry. And that just goes to show that you never know who needs it. And you never know, sometimes it's not even about the music, it's just about those little moments of connection, something about it, just me approaching her and singing something directly to her, just hit her in the right way in the moment. And that was a special moment for sure.
I like it. We have established that you're ambitious, you're rebellious, you're a player, and obviously you're a go-getter in terms of how you've had to survive and move all the way to London. One of the things listening to your music, you're also a softie. As much
Yeah.
as you try to swing the whole tough all
I
that situation.
do. God, you got me.
I
You
also
got me good.
you can tell these things from the music every now and then. But before we go into the softie part, you seem like you have built or you're building a good community in terms of, and that you're doing that through music, friends, family. Obviously, we know, shout out to Mr. Galloway for making this happen. And of course, we know Lorraine and the
Yeah.
machine that she is in terms of Success Express.
Absolute machine.
Yeah, but I see that you're building a good community with your music, and you're doing your thing. How has that come about in terms of building that together?
Well, it certainly hasn't been easy, actually. So, as I said, I did study in law, and when I got to London, I was broke and I really just needed to get a job. And I thought, okay, well, you can't just turn up somewhere and make music happen like that. So I had to get a job, and I thought, okay, well, I'll go into law. And so I started in this small legal aid criminal defense firm in Brixton, which was an amazing experience. I was like really running cases start to finish, and then I moved to this human rights law firm, and it was all very serious, and I was dealing with lots of heavy cases, lots of trauma, and even still, it was just like this thing in the back of my head, like I can't not sit here and do my work whilst also turning people's lives into songs in my head. So it's just like this, always this creative energy buzzing, and then this restlessness sitting at your desk. And I had some pretty awful experiences in those jobs. Well, at that time of my life, I just didn't feel like it was an environment that was at all suited to me. I had a lot of energy and a lot of, I think just generally like a lot of joy and enthusiasm, and it's almost kind of like not appropriate.
Mm-hmm.
And in the end, I just sort of looked around, and I'd wanted to be a lawyer my whole life. And I looked around and I just sort of thought, gosh, there's not a single person whose life that I would want in 10 years. They all looked pretty miserable to me. You could tell that maybe at once they'd had personalities and oomph, but they were just sort of a bit dead inside.
Yeah.
And I just thought, well, there's no one who I'd want to be or be like. And I was like terribly, like pretty unwell, I think, from just the mental strain of it. And I just thought, well, there's no point me putting myself through this just to prove that I can. It was like kind of like going through a divorce with law, because it sort of almost felt like a bit shameful. Well, you can't not be a lawyer.
Yeah.
You know, I was playing gigs on the side, and, you know, that's what was bringing me joy. Those were the people that I was feeling inspired to be around, even the ones that were amazing musicians and not making it at all. There was still something inspiring about their vulnerability, and it was the honesty of it. It was, we are battling and we're honest about it. And that's what I wanted to be around. That's the kind of people that I wanted to be around a lot more, instead of, we don't show that we have emotions. We don't show that we are vulnerable because we're professionals. No, the whole point of it is the vulnerability. And so I felt comfortable there. I felt like around creative people or musical people, that's where I can, you know, feel at home. And so I just literally just quit my job and was like, right, okay, I'll do some temp contracting work here and there, and I'll just concentrate on music. And I started recording, and I started releasing the music, and actually, you know, at first hesitantly, but now getting into the swing of like promoting myself, which is a strange thing for me, because as I said, in New Zealand, you know, we're kind of brought up to be a bit humble. It's a strange thing for me to promote myself. It doesn't come naturally, even if I seem like I'm relatively, you know, confident. It's uncomfortable for me to promote myself.
I think society defines what humble is in all sorts of places. Humble in the UK, humble in the US are two different things. Two different things. I grew up in Nigeria, and humble is very similar to a good point to maybe the UK style of humble. So it's like a mix. I think we have a part that's very American, a part that's very British, because it's typically you ask an American, how much did you make last year? 15 million. They tell you,
woo!
and you're thinking, oh, that's a bit arrogant. But in the UK, you ask somebody how much did you make, they'll be like, oh, just a few quid. It is, so I understand the contradiction you might have been feeling, but the good thing about music is that you've managed to, you know, kind of blend your upbringing with what you're seeing today. And unfortunately, or fortunately, we live in social media. Push yourself out there, push your music is the only way. And you've been doing that with your music and pushing it out there. Of course, people check Suze Harper on Spotify and all the other stuff. And she will be performing live, you know, June 25th. Buy a ticket of 300. One of the things I said that we'll come back to is, you know, you being ambitious, player, whatever. But, you know, you have a soft spot about you, and it shows in your music. Now, your music catalog is wonderful. You have, you know, music like Anthony. What's it called? One of the songs.
Lovers Lament.
No, I'm coming to that. I'm coming to that. Not that hard. And then, so when you listen to all that music and you know what you're talking about, and then you have Lover's Lament, which is my favorite, number one. I'm going to talk about that. But before we talk about Lover's Lament, you have mentioned a few times taking other people's experiences and putting it in your music, and of course taking your experience. What is that? Can you define your creative process in terms of how you write music? Is it just solely experiences or situations that just pop into your head?
It varies, but generally I always start with a concept. And I think some people are very musical musicians, and they start with music and then they find words to fit with it. I don't so much think that I'm one of those people. I'm more of a conceptualist who finds music to fit with my concept. So, for example, with that song Anthony, you know, I was thinking about, you know, being when I was little and, you know, losing my belongings all the time, and how my grandfather taught me to pray to the patron saint of lost things, Saint Anthony. And, you know, it was just sort of like a little thing that I used to do just when I was running around the house frantic, like, Saint Anthony, where the hell is it? You know, I just sort of like had it in my head that these things would turn up because I was being guided by some guy in the sky. And it was just sort of like a sense of comfort, I suppose, for someone who was just like a bit of a frantic, chronic loser of their things. And then, I sort of had this thought in my head, but what about when you lose yourself or you lose your sense of self? Is that something that, you can call on this saint for? And I'm not particularly religious, but I just sort of thought, oh, what an interesting concept, like the loss of self or a loss of sense of self is a very relatable thing. I think everybody goes through periods of their life where they don't know who they are. They've lost their sense of self, and they have a sense of like needing to find something, but they don't know where to look. And so I kind of played around with that idea, and I started just writing. It's the lyrics are always fragmented at the start. I put down little sentences that I like, and sometimes someone will say something really profound and that I'll like it, and my phone notes are just filled with things, and you just go back and you revisit it, and then it's just like it's a puzzle. Eventually, you put it all into place, and then you pick up the guitar or the piano, and you start putting music to it, and the sound just makes itself apparent. It makes itself known to the song, and that's how I prefer to write, because I think that music is there to communicate a message or something. And so I think if I know what I'm communicating in advance, the sound is like more appropriately arrives. The sound arrives kind of on its own. And, it's, as I said, it's like a puzzle. Bits and pieces come into play, and all of a sudden, there it is.
Well, that right there is going to be the title of this episode. Music is there to communicate. I've taken it. Well, speaking about music, we do what we call a lyric deep dive, where, I have said Lover's Lament is my favorite song. I like to understand it exactly, because the way you've just explained Anthony, there's no way I would have understood that's what he meant. I thought Anthony was some guy you liked or something. I was listening. I was like, this is such a cool song. But my favorite song is Lover's Lament, and I want to get your take on it in terms of exactly what it meant and how the lyrics go. So I wrote it down as I hear it. So if I miss anything, just let me know. So Lover's Lament, people, check on it on Spotify and all that good stuff. So it starts like this. You left the rain to find the sun. Did you think you were going to find it when you are still on the run? You packed your bags, kissed me goodbye, standing at the goddamn airport with tears in my eye. And I know you had to go. With the TV still on, I sleep next to your ghost. Oh,
God.
We'll stop there for now. All right? So you left the rain to find the sun. Right there, that's the cut. When I was like, preach! I like it. Did you think you were going to find it when you're still on the run? You packed your bags, kissed me goodbye, standing in the goddamn airport with tears in my eye. What is the song about?
A boy.
Big guy.
I just think it's so funny that you chose this song, because it's like you said, I put up a bit of a strong exterior, and then my music is where I'm quite soft. And this is that song that, I always am just like, every time I play it live, I love it. Every time I play it live, I just have this moment of just like, oh, am I about to play this this really like overly honest sort of sad girl song? Yeah, go on. And that's because it is honest. It is like a genuine reflection of what was experienced in a moment of just sort of heartache, I guess. And
was this in Paris or in New Zealand?
No, it was in London, and that's where you left the rain to find the sun comes from. Because the guy I was with decided to move to Australia.
He was going back to your part of the world.
So I was just like, what? And he sort of wanted me to come with him, but then I was just like, no. I left
there to be challenged.
Yeah, exactly. And so I think, it's pretty basic, really, like in the sense that it's, it's rainy and it's cloudy and it can be a bit gloomy here.
Mhm.
And I don't just mean that in the literal sense. I mean that,
Yeah.
in a metaphorical sense, it's tough here. It is a grind. It's not easy. You don't live here because you want it easy. You know, weather and all. And, I think that, well, gosh, I hope he doesn't watch this. I think, part of it, like, people want to move places that seem easier and, lighter.
Does he follow you on Instagram? Because if he does, he probably will see that this is out.
Oh, well. He's heard it all before. Trust me, I gave it to him.
I mean,
he knows.
and the chorus goes, and I'm not often silent, but I am silent right now. Standing at the corner,
Standing in the corner.
standing
Yeah.
at the corner, and my wine has gone sour. And the air is so sharp, I can't feel my nose. And my heart hurts so much. That's how love always goes. I mean, see, as far as I'm concerned, it's like, so I take it this is a heartbreak song.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Have you healed?
I have. Yeah, I have.
You sure? You're not, I mean, if I just say, I'm coming, and then you're not gonna like stand up and punch him or something, headbutt him, would you?
No, I have healed, and like that's the thing. It was sort of the relationship I needed to kind of move me forward into the sort of relationship that, I truly need, which is just like stable and committed and true. And, I think, as I said, I am one of those people who can get bored, who works well with passion and excitement and high emotions. But I actually think that, and I kind of touch on this in my song Not That Hard, but I think, whilst that's good for creating and it fuels you and it makes you feel creative and it brings out songs like these in you, in terms of sustainability, the best thing is if you can have something that's calm and sensitive and committed. And, I think that you need to have these kind of relationships to teach you what your nervous system essentially needs to sustain itself long term. And, that might be the last song I ever write like that. Who knows?
Well, we hope not. We definitely hope not. If not, we have to play this over and over again. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Suze Harper will be performing at the Korak Live Music Event, if I haven't said it already, June 25th. Please get a ticket to 10. It's been good, Suze Harper.
It's been so good.
It's been amazing. It's good to get to know you and understand your journey so far. We'll end with the 3 questions I always end, or I try to end. Well, I say always, I don't know. But 3 questions I always try to end the episode with. So question number 1 is, what's been your most difficult... What do you see as your most difficult situation in the music world so far?
I would say promoting yourself. As I mentioned it earlier, I find that to be tricky. I'm inherently uncomfortable every time I press post, and I think that a lot of musicians relate to that as well. It's something. It's something you have to do in a sense that I kind of call it. You have to pull the horses with the carriage. You can't wait for the horses to run and pull the carriage. You have to pull the horses with the carriage and then hope that they follow. It's not easy. It's really uncomfortable. And it seems like it's the easiest thing in the world. You've got these free platforms.
Yeah.
It's technically never been easier for us. It's free. You just have to do it. It is uncomfortable. And I am still learning, and I haven't like mastered how to do it yet. I'm still learning. And some people have mastered how to do it, and I think a lot of other musicians are sitting there on their phones resenting it, being like, oh, why them and not me?
Mm-hmm.
But, you have to promote yourself, and that is a difficult thing, but a necessary thing. And, that's something that I'm trying to work on now. And I think, yeah, it's probably the biggest challenge.
What has been the best thing about music?
The people. That's such a obvious response, but I wouldn't be here without it. If I had just kept going with a legal job or a corporate job, I would have maybe met a few mates at work, would have gone for a beer with them after work maybe once a week. I would have been lonely, I think. And I think, your world gets small. With the music, man, the people that I've met, it's just, it can take you anywhere. And it has allowed me to enter into circles and into environments where I've been able to have connections with people, amazing people, that I almost just feel sorry for people who don't have that access. Like, I don't know how I would live without the ability to meet people this way.
Success is defined differently by people. The same way we're talking about being humble is different in other places.
Yeah.
What would you deem as success to you in the music world?
This is tricky. I've been thinking a lot about this recently because it's hard to kind of keep going, I suppose. And in all honesty, it's ridiculous for me to say because I've only really technically just started. People do this for 10 years before they get any kind of success. And I've kind of only been doing it properly for a year. And it's hard to keep going thinking, is there like a sustainable outcome involved? And I think realistically in the real world we live in, success would be being able to make a comfortable living off doing what you like, doing what you love. That would be on the surface what it is. I think realistically it could be deeper than that. It could be finding a place of peace with it where you're not struggling with it, where you're not struggling with the question of what is success with this. Almost returning to what it was like when I was a child. It just is. It's inseparable from me. If I happen to be able to make money from that, that's awesome, but that would be a byproduct. If I could get to that place again, as I was when I was a child, which is, it just is. It's just there. It is who I am. It is what I do. And I make money from it. Sweet. But the success would be to not be in this place of constantly chasing that success, to actually just be doing it as you do it naturally and happen to be benefiting from it. And if you're not, still having the ability to just keep it there in your life somehow.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's been amazing. Wonderful episode. I mean, I think there's a cheers to that. I like it. I like it. I'm conducting a playlist, and I usually ask people to just throw in a song, whatever the song may be. But I think I'm not going to ask you because I'm just going to throw in Lover's Lament I'm going to throw Lover's Lament into the playlist. And I've said eventually when we get to 100 songs, then I'll release it as a Korak playlist.
Yeah.
But yes, people, please buy your tickets. Thursday, June 25th, Suze Harper will be telling more of a story through her original music. It's been a pleasure.
It's been so good.
Hopefully, with more stories, more journeys, you'll be back on Korak. Ladies and gentlemen, Suze Harper. Yeah. Well, I'm your host, and I'll see you soon, people. Till then, more times.